23 September 2009, Stockholm. In one of the safest capitals in the world, police radio traffic was quiet that morning. Then a
Bell 206 JetRanger
came into view. 20 minutes later, about 39 million Swedish kroner, around $5 million, would be gone from the G4S cash depot in Västberga. This robbery didn't start by breaking down a door. This robbery began by stealing exactly 20 minutes from the police. Near the police helicopter base in Västberga, a bag marked bomb was left behind. By procedure, no aircraft could take off until the area was cleared. That kept police from getting airborne and launching an aerial chase during the robbery. On the ground, another plan ran in parallel. Metal spike strips were scattered along key routes leading to the cash depot to puncture tires. The goal was to slow or even stop police vehicles. Speed up, you blow a tire. Slow down, you lose time. Either way, the robbers bought minutes. This wasn't about firepower, it was about the clock. They didn't want a firefight, they wanted to steal time. And the third move came at 05:15, by air. That same night, a Bell 206 JetRanger was stolen from the Norrtälje area north of Stockholm and set down on the roof of the G4S building. The pilot stayed in the helicopter, engine running. The getaway was timed down to the second. 3 masked robbers stepped out. Their target wasn't the building's main entrances. In the middle of the roof, there was a pyramid-shaped reinforced glass skylight. They smashed it with a sledgehammer and went in through there. No main doors, no delay, just the fastest point of entry. After the glass broke, people inside heard short bursts that sounded like explosions, not enough to collapse anything, just enough to pop locked passages and security doors quickly. There were staff working the night shift. No one was physically harmed. The goal wasn't hostages or violence, it was to gather as much cash as possible, as fast as possible, and move it up to the roof. Inside, the first objective was simple. The route in and out could not be allowed to close. The roof-to-interior pipeline had to stay fixed and fast. One person managed the flow, the others weren't searching for money downstairs, they were moving it. Bags got filled, went up to the roof, and were loaded into the helicopter. A cash depot isn't a single vault. Cash is staged in different areas, prepared separately for banks and ATMs. The robbers weren't picking the biggest banknotes, they took whatever they could access and pushed it up the pipeline. Around 05:25, police arrived at the scene. Outside, they secured the perimeter, but the situation was stacked. Staff inside, explosive risk, and suspects who might be heavily armed. With all of that at once, no one wanted to order a direct entry in those first minutes. The idea of shooting at the helicopter on the roof was raised, but an uncontrolled crash could end in disaster for the people inside. Those few minutes of hesitation created the time needed for the job to be finished. And at 05:35, the helicopter lifted off. The robbers and the money disappeared into the air. That morning, 20 minutes meant exactly this, the narrow window between landing, breach, loading, and takeoff. Once the helicopter was gone, police logic shifted. Instead of chasing, tracking made more sense. There was no aerial pursuit, ground units had been slowed, and direct intervention hadn't been possible in those first minutes because of the risks inside. The first priority became scanning likely landing sites, clearings, tree lines, and places where a helicopter could be hidden. The escape route wasn't a single straight line. The helicopter landed briefly near Kanan Bade. That landing was used to split the load, throw off pursuit, and transfer to ground vehicles. Around 8:15, the helicopter was found abandoned in a wooded area north of Stockholm, near Skavlåten in Erninge. That was key. The helicopter was never the final escape vehicle, only the tool for Phase 1. After that, the money and the team dispersed through the ground plan. Hours later, the bag in Västberga was checked, and it was fake, but the plan worked. The suspicion alone kept police helicopters grounded long enough for the robbery to be carried out. For police, the hard part began. That much cash can't stay hidden inside a city for long. Somewhere it has to be broken up, moved, and laundered. That's why the investigation couldn't be limited to the 3 or 4 people seen on the roof. The scale of the operation pointed to an external coordination layer. The ones who stole the helicopter, the ones who spiked the roads, the ones who staged the bomb scare, the ones who planned the escape vehicles, the ones who built the transfer pipeline. Investigators followed two main trails, the forensic trail left at the scene and the coordination trail outside it. The sledgehammer, the bags, the equipment, the roof, and the helicopter, every point of contact was examined. Camera footage, alarm logs, and the helicopter's flight path were mapped. In parallel, phone activity, meetings, vehicles, and logistical links were tracked. The goal wasn't to find 3 or 4 people, but the others behind them. The first concrete finding came from inside. Blood and tissue traces were found on the staircase and other contact points. DNA analysis confirmed that one of the crew cut his hand and bled during the robbery. This was the clearest way to connect masked people to real identities. A plan this layered meant one thing: there was a team behind it. And as the investigation deepened, it became clear that this professional crew was made up of people from very different worlds, pulled into the same criminal organization. The profiles behind the operation were far outside the usual bank robber mold.
Alexander Eriksson, pilot. Shortly after the operation, he was standing in line in a McDonald's. The idea was simple: get on camera, keep a receipt, and claim he was somewhere else. But digital forensics didn't care about a staged story. 8 years in prison. Safa Kadam, one of the 3 masked people who entered during the robbery. While breaking the glass or passing through the opening, he cut his hand and left DNA at the scene. That became police's biggest leverage. Kadam fled to the Dominican Republic after the robbery, but was caught there through Swedish pursuit and extradited. 8 years. However, it is still not clearly known who the other masked people who entered with Safa Kadam were. Goran Bojovic, described as the strategic brain of the operation. Bojovic stood out in the file on the organization and coordination side. 8 years. Charbel Sharo and Mikhail Sodergran, part of the planning/assistance layer. Jobs not on the roof, but on the line, such as staging the bomb scare and placing the metal spikes on the roads. 5 years each. Marcus Akelsson and Thomas Broman, names tied more to assistance, touching the backside of the operation. Akelsson got 2 years, Broman got 1. One of the biggest scandals around the robbery was that Swedish police had been aware of the risk months earlier. Reports say Serbian police warned Swedish authorities that a major cash depot in Stockholm would be attacked by helicopter. Swedish police took the warning seriously, but could not carry out preventative intervention because they couldn't pinpoint the exact time and target. Even if the field phase was executed cleanly, digital footprints and logistical mistakes exposed the team. Cell tower data from the burner phones the robbers used before and after the robbery helped police identify them. Traces in the helicopter, the Bell 206 JetRanger abandoned in Arninge, was a gift to forensic teams. DNA and microtraces inside tied the pilot and other members directly to the aircraft. A large portion of the 39 million Swedish kroner, around $5 million, was never found. Those arrested served prison sentences, but where the money is remains a mystery. And that leaves 2 ways to judge whether the operation was successful. Getting caught looks like failure, but the fact that the stolen money could not be recovered is exactly why, financially, the robbers may still see it as a win.